Today I want to show you one of my favorite increases. It's a lifted increase, and it's one of those that you can do directionally, so you can have a right lifted increase or a left lifted increase. And I'm going to start with the right lifted increase, even though that's not the first one I'm going to come to in this swatch. So this swatch setup, we've got some stitches on either side and one stitch marked off in the center, and that one stitch is not going to be worked at all. So lifted increases are an increase that requires an existing stitch. So make ones don't require a stitch, yarn overs don't require a stitch, knit front and backs require a stitch, as do lifted increases. So that gives you some reference. Okay, so I've passed this center stitch now, and I'm going to make an increase that leans right out of this column of stitches. So this is the column that I want to make a new stitch leaning right out of. So if you think of the stitch on the needle as a daughter stitch, and the stitch underneath it as the mother stitch, so this would be the daughter, and this is the mother. This is very similar to how I describe things in Shadow Wrap Short Rows, if that is something that you've watched before. So we're going to grab the right hand leg, the right leg of the mother stitch, and pop it up onto the needle and knit into it to make a second daughter, and then knit the daughter. So you can see that there's a new stitch now popping up to the right of the original daughter stitch, and we're going to work to the end of the row. So I like to use this technique for raglan increases, like on a top-down sweater. I've got a sweater coming out later this week, which I will then put in the links in the show notes, that uses this technique. I'm just working across the backside row for the moment. We're going to get into wrong side lifted increases in a second, but right now I'm just purling across this row. So what I really like about lifted increases is that they lay flat. Because they grow from the mother stitch like a second daughter, they're very they kind of blend in, so you can see, and this is particularly great because it's a single ply yarn, but you can see that on either side of that center stitch they kind of just like meld into the fabric. Okay, so let me do the left leaning now. So I've got to knit to the column that I'm going to be increasing, which in this case, so okay, this is, I split that stitch, there we go. So this stitch would be the one that I'm building a left increase onto. When you're doing a left increase, left leaning lifted increase, you're going to knit that daughter stitch first, which makes a new daughter, like a granddaughter. Your original daughter becomes the mother stitch, and then you've got a grandmother, right? So if you were going to be making it without knitting that first, okay, so let's take a look. So I undid that stitch, so this stitch has, this column of stitches has not been worked yet. So this would be daughter, this would be mother. But because as I'm working this row, I work the daughter becomes the mother becomes the grandmother. So for the left increase, you need to catch the left leg of the grandmother. So it was the mother until we knit that column above it, and now it becomes the grandmother. So you grab the left leg of the grandmother, and I slip it knitwise onto my left hand needle so that I can knit it. And then it's set. So that's what gives me the look that's the same as the right lifted increase, but it's just a matter of where you are in the row. So let's do the right again so you can see that for contrast. Slip my marker, knit my center stitch, slip the next marker, if I can get it over, there we go. Okay, so because we haven't worked this column yet, because we're making the new stitch to the right of this column, then it's the standard daughter, mother, and you grab the right leg of the mother to make the new stitch. And then knit the original daughter, which makes daughter, mother, and mother, grandmother. Let me do that one more time, and then we'll cover the wrong side rows. So let me get across the back side. So this is a really good decrease to, or increase to do in stockinette. I would say in garter you could go with something easier that would hide a little better. But because you can find the mother or the grandmother in stockinette much more easily, it's a good one for stockinette. Okay. And this swatch just keeps getting bigger, which makes the backside rows longer. So let me get back to our column that needs an increase. Alright, so, okay, we're back to this column. Get focused. This column needs the increase, but it's a left increase. So we have to knit it to get to the left side of that column. And then mother has become grandmother, so we grab, so let me get real close and you can see this. So, okay, new daughter, old daughter now become mother, and mother become grandmother. So grab the left leg of the grandmother, knit into it, slip my marker, knit one, slip marker, and then this one needs a right leaning increase. So daughter, mother, because we haven't worked that column yet. So right leg of mother, knit, and then knit the daughter, and then we're set to finish the row. Okay, now when we get to the point of doing wrong side lifted increases, which is totally a reasonable thing to do, of course right and left is a little bit reversed because we're working on the back side. So let me get there, but it's the same concept. So here's that column that I want to do an increase in, but because I need to do it on the marker side, which is the left side, I need to purl it first, and then daughter, mother, grandmother. You grab the collar. So this is on the purl side, it's a little bit easier because you don't have right and left side of the grandmother. The grandmother is the purl bump. So you can just slip your needle into the purl bump. So let me do that again so you can see. I've got, if you move the yarn, you could see it really clearly. I've got daughter. This purl bump is the mother, the new mother now, and this one is the grandmother. So keeping my yarn in place, I'm going to snag the purl bump for the grandmother, purl it, slip the marker, and that's a left leaning, wrong side lifted increase. Purl the middle stitch, slip the marker, and now I need a right leaning lifted increase from the wrong side. So daughter, mother. Because I haven't worked this column yet, it's going to be just daughter, mother. And I can grab the mother and slip her with standard orientation onto the left-hand needle so that I can purl. And then purl the daughter. So what you're doing is picking up the mother or grandmother, depending on whether you're doing left or right, and just creating a new daughter stitch out of it. Okay, so let's do the right side increases again, and then the left side, or wrong side increases again, and then we'll be done. So let me get to that point. I hope that seeing these over and over and over is helping them make some sense. Okay, so we're to the column that needs a left increase. I'm going to knit that column so that I'm on the left side of that column, and grab the grandmother, knit into the grandmother, slip the marker, knit the center stitch, slip the next marker, and then do a right lifted increase, and then knit the daughter and knit all the way across. And let me talk about what you get on the right side of the fabric here for a second. So you can see the center stitch is all, you know, perfectly even and normal. There we go. And then you get kind of an elongated stitch where you lift that mother or grandmother. But I really like how it frames the center stitch, and it makes a nice, like if you're talking about a raglan sleeve increase, it makes a really clean line that I kind of love deeply. Okay, so let's do the wrong side. Okay, so I'm to the column. I have to purl this stitch because it's a left side increase. And then I need to grab, okay, this is where it gets tricky. When you're doing every row increases, so the new daughter, the mother, the grandmother. So you just have to keep following it back. That's the grandmother. So let me show you again. So new daughter, mother, grandmother. So grab the grandmother, purl the grandmother to make a new daughter, and then slip, purl one, and then this one needs a right leaning increase. So grab the mother, so here's the detail, grab the mother, so the purl bump there, and then slip it onto the left hand needle, and it's getting snug now because I'm doing every row increases, but occasionally you do need that, and right side and wrong side can be done with a lifted increase, which I really like. So let me get to the end of the row and then I can show you what it looks like on the front. And I apologize for any background noises. I have a cat that I've locked out of this room and he's like playing with the door. Okay, so you can see when I get this focused that suddenly the increase rate is doubled, you know, and it's blooming out, which occasionally you need. So you would need that, you know, underneath the arm on a raglan so that you could have increases that would fit an arm side. Down here, it's definitely much more even and flat, and then it's spreading now. But, you know, you can get a lot of like shaping options going. You could do a funnel neck that way. But that is right and left leaning lifted increases on the right and the wrong side rows. Thanks.